Krishna Kirtana Gananartana Poro Premamritam Bonidi Krishna Kirtana Gananartana Poro Premamritam Bonidi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Sri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana Hastra Vicharanaika Nipanao Sadharma Samstapako Nana Hastra Vicharanaika Nipanao Sadharma Samstapako Loka Nam Hitakarano Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakarao Manyo Sharanyakarao Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Na Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Bolo Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarnana Vidao Shraddha Samriddhi Anvitao Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarnana Vidao Shraddha Samriddhi Anvitao Hey! Shri Gauranga Gunanuvarnana Vidao Shraddha Samriddhi Anvitao Papotapana Krintanao Tanubritam Govinda Ganamritai Hey! Papotapana Krintanao Tanubritam Govinda Ganamritai Anandam Buddhi Vardanaika Nipanao Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Natano Raghuyago Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Adeva Gopalako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Vasadi Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Gauranga Vaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Kaishavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Hari Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinata Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jai Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Simadhusudan Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Shri Gaurnatai Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, here we are in ISKCON, Silicon Valley. Yes. And we are Hanumat Preshak Swami. And Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. And we have a PowerPoint show. Because actually we're going to try and go over we had a very, very nice symposium on education in ISKCON. The very, very last days of July in Texas, Houston, Texas. And it was very nice. Before that there was 2 weeks of educational programs, for teachers, teacher training. And we finished off with a symposium. Friday night was reception. Seshadas was there, Minister of Education, Ram Giridhari, the Executive Secretary for the ministry. And then Saranga Thakur, he's like trying to coordinate stuff in North America. He's one of the vice presidents in Texas. Texas Temple is so big, this entire building would fit in the temple room. It's like that's 4 stories inside like that and stuff. And maybe about, Houston. Yeah, 3 times as big as this. The temple room about 3 times as big as this, And outside's a garden as big as bigger than this entire property, maybe twice as big as this, maybe 3 times. Then the Garanga Hall, which has a big assembly area, and upstairs there's classrooms like that. Then around there, because of Tamal Krishnamurti's genius, all these properties are available and stuff. So they're buying up like places maybe like 3 times the size of this. They put in a cul-de-sac and build 6 houses, 3 on each side, 2-story houses. Very nice little garden area. And the temple, of course, is just a 5-minute walk away. You have playgrounds and parks and everything else. The restaurant's going to be opening soon. So it's a whole Hare Krishna village. I counted up, and right now, when they finish all the construction there, they're going to have about 30 private houses, like that, devotee houses around there and stuff. And then across the street, they got, by Krishna's arrangement, they got about, I think about 3 acres of land. So they're building 3 20-unit apartment buildings. So altogether 60 units from efficiency apartment all the way up to 3-bedroom like that. So it's very natural that if you're going to have all these people living there, you want your own school system, everything else. So Shama Sundar, president, was talking all about how schooling education is super central part of their whole philosophy and focus like that. And they're in it for the long run, long run, developing it. One person I know, Kriti Kapoor, he just got his full credential as a psychiatrist, and his wife will have her credential next year. And he went to the bank and asked for a loan to buy one of these properties that are, they're developing, and to build a house. And they said, yeah, you're a psychiatrist, everybody's crazy, guaranteed income, okay? So he has a loan, and he's going to move there, and live his whole life there. And if he has to go someplace and leave his family, no problem. They're surrounded by devotees and everything else. And his kid is now 14 months old, very nice kid. So he's thinking, okay, kid, maybe next year, the kid can go into the preschool, and a little bit later, go right into the primary school, then go into the high school and grow up, in Vaikuntha. So very, very nice reception. And we had maybe about like 25, 35 people locally there, and people online from all over North America, Mexico, South America, even like that. So next day we had the actual symposium. In the morning we had 3 or 4 presentations, and 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and the evening a little cultural thing, and Sunday closure, and everybody goes home. So it's all available online at our website, www.jayarama.us. Prabhupada says, when Hanuman jumped to Lanka, he didn't think, well, what should I take along? My laser weapons or my false mustache? Or he just said, Jai Ram, and jumped. Okay, so that's our website, jayarama.us, United States, /NAS, North American Symposium. And that'll take you to the link, very crude. Sorry, we're monkeys. I'll take you to all, because everything was recorded. We used startmeeting.com, And it worked out very well. It took us about an hour at least, maybe 2 hours to get all the teleconferencing stuff set up in the room and so on. And it recorded well. First time they did it for them. So they're very happy too, because now they can do it again. Okay. So,
we are recording your start meeting in Bhakti Bhaiva.
Yeah. Some of them, but we don't, yeah. Other things too. Yeah. Okay. So the first session I presented, it was philosophy of education. Philosophy of education. And a lot of people ask about this, what is our philosophy of education? And then after that, Radhika, no, Mother Urmila? No, Mother, no, we had Shastric education then, which we did last night, discussing Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, with Radhakrishna did it. And then after that, homeschooling, Mother Aruda, and then Radhika was also there, and he did navigating the waters of higher education, like that. That was all in the morning. In the afternoon, we had Mother Urmila went over the importance of having our own international school system. And how it's Prabhupada's definite desire, like Montessori school or the North American Association of Catholic Schools, we have to have our own school system, like that. And then specifically, all of the existing primary schools all gave like a short presentation. There were 5 of them like that. It was amazing because everything got together. In the end, Sesha said that it exceeded his wildest dreams. I was managing the whole thing. I thought it was possible. I'd done this before. Nobody knows I'd done it before. Like, nobody knows who I am. And so we did the whole thing, and it came off well. I mean, everybody was helping. Krishna was helping. Very good program. Okay. So I am now calling upon the great Brahma, whose camera face everywhere, to please start our PowerPoint show. Hey, you. I guess. What's your name?
My name is
Shiv?
Shivanga.
Shivanga. Limbs, okay.
Ankita.
Angita. Wow. Okay. So here, this is the presentation we made. Philosophy of education. And let's see. I'm supposed to watch it. Oh, yeah, I'm watching it back there. Okay. And there's Prahlad Maharaj talking to his students in the background. Next slide. Okay. And what is this? I can't see it. In the bag there's a Buddha bag. There's a bag there. Give me the bag. Yeah. That's you got it. Bring it here. No, the bag, the orange bag. Yeah, that's it. You got it. Yeah. Bring it here. Yeah, yes, sir. And in the bag are my spectacles. Whoop. Okay. Whoop. Okay. Yeah, a whole lot better. Okay. Okay, first we did a little bio data for each person, because the first aspect of our philosophy of education is that it's personal. You always see in the Bhagavatam, it'll start off by, the person who's asking the question will first off illuminate, glorify the person who's asking it. You are this, you know that, I'm asking this question. And the person who's answering says, okay, you're like this, you're like that. So we have to know who's the student, who's the teacher. So here's our biodata. We were born January 1948 in Guam, in the Marianas Islands, in the Pacific Ocean. We graduated first place in psychology from UC Davis with minor studies in electrical engineering and biology. We made super heterodyne 5-stage AM radios with vacuum tubes. Yes, I did electrical engineering when there was vacuum tubes. Number 3, we went to Northwestern for our doctorate, and our mentor was Donald Campbell, who was president of the American Psychological Association. Then we studied for a little bit with the Second City, which is an improvisational theater troupe, very famous, and learned a lot about how the mind works. From theater training, you learn so much, about the mind and psychology. Then we headed east and got a black belt in Okinawan Awicharu Karate, which I learned about prana from that. And then we joined ISKCON. And so we got initiated in 1974, and Jayananda Das, Hansaduda Das, and Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj were kind of like our gurus, and how we We kind of knew Prabhupada through them, but of course we were initiated by Prabhupada in 74, and we took sannyas in 84. And then now we're preaching in South America. We go there twice a year, the US, India, and Europe, traveling a little bit. And we have our Anjana Sudha Academy, which is completely esoteric. It has people like Monkey and Piggy, our members like that. And our webpage is that one, www.jairam. And we're also working with the Ministry of Education in Shastric Education and General ISKCON Development, ISKCON Educational Development, which is focusing a lot on Houston. Because in Houston, we're trying to develop all these things that we can expand to all the rest of the U.S., preschools, primary schools. And also we have NEOS, North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Culture. Yeah. And this is one of the books we're producing with them, right there. Yeah. So we're doing this very high-end Indological work. And this is also Tamal Krishnamara's book. And this is all preaching in the universities to front class. There's no higher educational, circle than this level. And devotees are becoming more and more prominent in this area, like that, accepted and appreciated. So it's kind of our background. Next. Okay. What is philosophy? Okay. We're talking about the philosophy of education. So the word philo, what does philo mean? Philo. Philosophy. Love. Yeah. Philadelphia means brotherly love. The city of brotherly love. So philosophy means love of wisdom, like that. And sometimes when you're in the university, your second year, you're called a sophomore. Sophomore, yeah. So soph means wisdom, and more comes from moron. So it means wise fool, like that. Your second year there, you think, I'm really going to, this. Okay, so you're a sophomore. So philosophy means love of wisdom, and doctor means teacher. So really the title PhD means somebody who can teach love of wisdom. You don't have to know anything, but if you've learned to love wisdom, that's what it means. So if you look at the Stanford Inline Encyclopedia, very, very nice references on philosophy. So originally, of course, it meant love of wisdom, but now it's boiled down to the point where they even eliminated metaphysics. They don't even talk about an impersonal transcendental world like now. Now it just means logic and mathematics, and pretty much almost mathematics, what it means now mostly. But there's a kind of a revolt to make it more profound again. Okay, next. Yeah. So what is philosophy? Philosophy, love of wisdom. But Bhaktivedanta means the same thing. Love of the end of knowledge, wisdom. So basically, that's our real concern. Our real concern is that people actually develop this higher sensibility. So our philosophy of education is how education can actually participate in this, developing love of God. Next. Okay. Goal of education, how to achieve the goal, who are qualified candidates. So these are very normal questions you ask in a philosophy of education. What is education? Who is an educated man? Who can learn these things? Next. Yeah. So in the Western tradition, pretty much we find jnana and dhyana. Yeah. And in our ISKCON tradition, we go beyond this. We base it on nectar of instruction into Varna Ashram Dharma, Sankirtan, and Prema. And these are all the things we're trying to take care of in education. Next. Okay. Encyclopedia Britannica, which is a great source of Western knowledge, it says, the Western philosophical tradition began in ancient Greece and philosophy of education with it. The introduction by Socrates of the Socratic method of questioning began a tradition in which reasoning and the search for reasons that might justify beliefs, judgments, and actions was and remains fundamental. Such questioning in turn eventually gave rise to the view of education that education should encourage all students and persons to the greatest extent possible in the pursuit of the life of reason. So basically the idea became that you can see things, okay, but learn how to look at things, but the thing is actually rational abilities, jnana, thinking, arithmetic, grammar. That's why if somebody who learns how to do that, okay, he's an educated person, like that, and so on. And that's the Western idea. Next. Yeah. And so we see, this view of the central place of reason in education has been shared by most of the major figures in the history of philosophy of education in the West, despite the otherwise substantial differences in their other philosophical views. So we have people like Pavlov with his rats, his dog. Piaget was a great educator for children. Rousseau was very, very famous about trying to bring out the primitive man in people. And Jane Addams was very, very famous in this whole educational development for socially deprived people, But all of them, they wanted that their kids could reason, they could think, they could use jnana. So it's kind of nice, but it's a very definite focus. Next. Okay. But beyond that, in every single big university, they have a department of theater, right? Theater department. So there's a whole formal technique of developing introspection, intuition. Somebody can get up and they can manifest a different personality. So you really learned how to go quite profoundly into the self and who are we, like that. So this is from Viola Spolin. It's a very, very good book, very worth reading, called Improvisation for the Theater. It's in its third publication. And the first maybe 20 pages is all philosophy of theater. And what we're doing is theater. Our yoga is Gandharva Veda, singing, dancing, and drama. That's what it is, like that, and so on. So always, in the Nectar of Devotion, there's just a big book on drama theory, how it works, but how to achieve the ultimate goal through theater, through singing and dancing. So she says, this is the Western view, we learn through experience and experiencing, and no one teaches anyone anything. If the environment permits it, anyone can learn whatever he chooses to learn, and if the individual permits it, the environment will teach him everything it has to teach. This means involvement on all levels, intellectual, physical, and intuitive. So there we have karma, physical, jnana, intellectual, and now she's adding jnana. And this is where you'll find it, very formalized, very games. And the book, 20 pages is theory. After that, it's nothing but a series of games, all kinds of games to develop different theater abilities and also communication abilities like that. And in the end, spiritual abilities like that, so on. Yeah. You notice the environment, right? She uses the word environment here. And basically for her, that's her realization of the highest level of God, of reality, the absolute truth. So what do we use? What's the word we use? For environment. When you realize God in that form. Bhagavad Gita chapter, Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 and 11. Virat Rup. Yeah. And that's the first step in God realization. That's the first thing that Sukadeva Goswami recommends to Maharaj Parikshit. You should meditate on the Lord by seeing His manifestations, the taste in water, the light of the sun, the fragrance of the earth. Yeah. And so that's her level, and we can analyze, that's her level of development. And they say an actor does his work with his mind, his words, and body. Yeah, as a sannyasi, Goswami, he serves with mind, body, and words. And he gets in touch with the Paramatma. Paramatma, Virat Rup, it's just, the same thing, intensely like that. So you see, you can analyze anybody's philosophy, anybody's intelligence, and that's where they're at. And they're intuitive. They can come up with solutions like that. They can change their personality. It's just, they're dealing with a very subtle level of the mind and the intelligence like that. And we can learn this in Western culture. I did. Until I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, this improvisational theater tradition was the highest, level of development I'd found like that. Next. Okay. Of the three, Improvisation for the theater. It's right there on the screen right now. Of the three, the intuitive, the most vital to the learning situation, is neglected. And there's one of our most famous ISKCON Sankirtan leaders right there. Kirtan leaders. Fluffy. Bhakta Fluffy. Okay. Of the three, the intuitive, the most vital to the learning situation, is most neglected. Viola Spolin, Improvisation for the Theater, Northwestern University Press, 1963. Yeah. A little closer. Okay. Okay. Is that okay? Yes. My voice. Okay. Okay. So basically what we're learning here is jnana and dhyana. What has been discussed from the Occidental tradition is jnana and a little bit of dhyana, meditation. Next. Okay. An Oriental view. Let us now look at the Bhaktivedanta library of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Next. The Bhaktivedanta library of Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada says, in the preface to the Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada said, Rupa Goswami has given many other books, such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhava, and Lalita Madhava. But Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. Okay, we have a copy right there. Nectar of Instruction, Gita. Yeah. So our education is spiral, right? We don't replace something with something else, like it's more German attitude. So whatever you learn here, it's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be like more details, more details. This is a complete summary. This is an introduction, to spiritual life. It goes from Gaudiya Vaishnavas to controlling your senses all the way up to Radhakund and Radharani in 11 verses. So it's a summary of everything else. And of course the emphasis is on the first part. Then the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, right? That's the complete science of devotional service, right? Yeah. And then finally we have Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava, which are demonstrations, right? Rupa Goswami is showing us how these bhavas and these sentiments work together in this drama like that. You're crying, you're laughing, you're full of fear, you're full of jubilation. It took him like 15 years to write it or something. Okay, so let's look at the Nectar of Instruction then for our little higher view than Occidental knowledge. Next. Okay. Yeah. Upadeshamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. To understand the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of 6 Goswamis, and Prabhupada says them, Sri Rupa, Sanatana, Bhatta Raguna, Sri Jiva, Gopal Bhatta, and Dasa Raguna. This is the real center. The center of education is to understand how to help Lord Chaitanya in his mission. The next day when Sesha was summarizing everything, he said, I heard this presentation before in Radhadesh, Mars has improved a little bit, but he said, it struck me, I didn't really hear this. And the whole problem, our educational system, kids were going through our educational system, and they were coming out totally uneducated to fit into ISKCON. They couldn't fit into ISKCON. And he said, this is the whole purpose, is to fit into the Sankirtan movement. By the time you come out, you're, So from the very beginning, the primary school in Houston, before it even opened, the local Montessori school got wind of a new alternative education school opening up down the street. So they brought all their kids, 2 teachers, maybe 25 kids, to the temple. And our principal, Mother Shubra, remember, they're there now. She's the principal now in Texas, okay? She received them, somebody else, showed them the deities, talked a little bit about what we were doing. All the kids chanted, and they all chanted very nicely, and took some prasad. And the teacher said, okay, now please, as soon as you get your school over, you bring your kids to see our kids, and we can have exchanges like that regularly. Great. It's unlimited Sankirtan. Yeah. So this is the whole process. Right from the very beginning, children are accustomed to, we're learning to show other people. When we go to the Montessori school, we're going to show them how we learn to sing or play the drums or stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, that's the main thing. Next. But the first step in human civilization consists of occupational engagements performed according to the scriptural injunctions. The higher intelligence of human beings should be trained to understand basic dharma. In human society, there are various religions concepts characterized as Hindu, Christian, Hebrew, Mohammedan, Buddhist, and so forth. For without religion, human society is no better than animal society. The dog is running on 4 legs in the Silicon Valley, looking for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And the man is running on 4 wheels, looking for the same thing. Hey, mamacita. He's a dog, you know. I mean, you could put pictures in all these Silicon commute. You could have pictures of different dogs sitting in all the cars like that, you know. Some very dignified, like that. And everybody, yeah, it looks real, you know. People's real, undoing their tie, tongue hanging out. Yeah. So this is it. The main thing is Sankirtan. Find your place in the Sankirtan movement. This is the Kali Yuga, and everybody has to do. Some people are artists, some people are administrators, some people do PowerPoint shows. Okay, yeah. But we need a little bit of Varna Ashram Dharma, right? Varna Ashram Dharma. What is Varna Ashram Dharma? We don't give a definition here. A simple definition, one sentence. It can be kind of long, but yes. There's a microphone. This is going all over the world. Actually, South America too, probably. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Varnashrama Dharma is it's a rules or instructions to follow for a human being from the birth to the death, between birth and death.
Yeah. Prabhupada says, because there are many definitions. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Krishna. Varnashrama talks about the stages of Brahmacharya, Grihasthashrama, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasam.
Yeah.
Moksha Sannyasam.
Yeah.
As Sri Krishna calls it.
And Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But Prabhupada says, nice definition is, Varna Ashram Dharma is that psycho-social system which accelerates the evolution of the transcendental qualities of the soul. Right? Bhagavat Dharma is the seed. You're developing your spiritual life. Adoshvada, sadhusanga, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti, nishta, ruchi, asaktis, bhava, prema. Yeah? But it's very, very nice. If I give you a seed, right? You say, what is that? You say, I don't know. Well, we should plant it. Okay? And we should water it, right? And we should protect it. And we should have sunlight. We should have all these things. So this is Varna Ashram. Nice seed, nice protection, all these things. Varna Ashram system is a part of the Virat Rup. It's nothing spiritual. It's a subtle aspect. It descends upon you. Suddenly, when you get your first baby, it's a big problem like this and that, taking care of the baby. You don't want the baby anymore. Go away. Baby starts crying. But what can I do? I'm alone. And suddenly this consciousness descends upon you. I am a mother. Or else, same way, I forget all these things. Now I'm a husband. This is Virat Rup. It's a part of the Virat Rup. And we adopt it, use it, because then it allows us, the spirit soul, to develop very nicely. When, Arjuna, do your duty, because then you can serve me very nicely within that position. So everybody needs a little bit of education in this. There's so many Dharma Shastras. 21 principal Dharma Shastras, 81 Dharma Shastras, Parashara Muni, Manu Samhita, so many Yajnavalkya, so many details about Stri Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma, mixtures, what to do, taxes, money, relationships. But we don't need all that because we're devotees. If you're engaged in the Sankirtan movement, Tesham evanu kampartam mahama agyanajam tamaha nasyami bhava. So, Krishna enlightens you. He gives you intelligence. A few hints, little hints, that's all you need. And the Bhagavatam is full of Varna Ashram. The Bhagavatam is basically Daivi Varna Ashram. It's showing how to take any position. Pregnancy of Diti in the evening, marriage of Kardama and Kashyapa, and Kardama Devahuti. Yeah. All there, every psychological circumstance you can find, and how to relate it to pure spiritual life. The nectar of devotion extracts it all out. Okay, just the spiritual stuff. Fast lane, 18,000 verses into 1,800 verses. Okay, can we slow down here? Yeah, we slow down here. This fourth canto we'll go over like that. I need a little slower chants here. Okay. Story of Daksha, story of Dhruva. Story. Okay, yeah. So Varna Ashram, we need some training in school. So our school system should train people how to be boys and girls, how to get married, how to take care of your responsibilities in society like that, and so on. And a little bit of education like that. In the modern school system, there's nothing. I mean, maybe a little bit, but almost nothing. 50% of all first U.S. marriages end in divorce. Now, many people don't even bother to get married anymore because it's so ridiculous. But they make a promise. Yeah, maybe have a party with their friends and something, and they promise we're partners forever. Okay, add those in, the divorce, 70%. 70% of all first U.S. marriages end in divorce. Yeah, people don't understand the most basic things about how to be happy, how to be civilized. Yeah, they're great software engineers and everything else. They can't make the most simple human relationship. That's the beginning of human life, is marriage. Without that, you haven't got a human civilization. Okay. Then later on, you learn how to have a very powerful brahmacharya life in spiritual perspective. Then after that, vanapras, sannyas. But no, in the beginning, at least understand how to have a personal relationship with the opposite sex, how to take care of your family. Then society becomes peaceful like that. Imagine back when I was a child, there was no divorce. In the 1950s and 60s in America. You can imagine what it was like if there was no divorce in this hairy area like that. Everybody was, everything would change. Everything, and so on. Okay, so, Sankirtan, a little bit of Varnashram training. Next. And the high end is, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse, text 8. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness, that means like a, spontaneous taste, should give up all material motives, follow the 4 principles, and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely, chanting and remembering Krishna, and his name, fame, form, qualities, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in, and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, qualities, under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is a sum and substance of all instructions regarding the cultivation of devotional service. So that's the high end. The high end is ultimately everything has to reawaken our relationship with Krishna. Nitya siddha Krishna prema sadhyaka bunaya shvavanade shudechita. Yeah, it's already there. It's a perfection of the soul, prema. Like that. But we have to just wake it up by this process. So our school system, that's what it means. We have to, kids are in the 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. Okay, that's nice, but some of them are little Dhruva Maharajas, some are little Prahlad Maharajas, some are little Hiranyakasipus, Hiranyakshas. And you go, okay, so Prabhupada says, the Gurukuls for everybody, like that. So what do the little Hiranyakshas and Hiranyakasipus do, They're trained to become lawyers, right? Because you become a lawyer, you can rob people and do all this kind of stuff without creating a disturbance in society. And Akruranath agrees with this. We agreed like that. Yeah. One devotee, he was a gay lawyer. His whole family was actually gay. They're all lawyers and judges, everything. Anyway, he told me there's so many lawyer jokes. He was actually from the Bay Area here. He said in the beginning, God created homosexuals and lawyers. Right? And all the lawyers ended up in New York, and all the homosexuals ended up in San Francisco, because San Francisco had first choice. If you got a choice between homosexuals and lawyers, you'd rather have a homosexual. That's the idea. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, everybody can get an education. If you have a good system, everybody finds their place, their attachment. Bhagavatam is designed, everybody. Kardama Muni, very nice devotee. Devahudi, very nice devotee. But they're both still a little attached, a little bit. They didn't want to be. But got to go through it one more time. That's what Krishna said. One more time you go through this. Me Tarzan, you Jane, him Cheetah. Okay, here we go again. Like that. Oh! Yeah. But that's it. No. That's Jane there. That's Tarzan. We are all cheetah. Okay. Yeah. Every single time they win the best actor and best actress every time. But lighting, screenplay, some best supporting actor. Okay, we can do that, and we don't want to be, the best and so on. Yeah. So that's what we have to learn. Yeah. And so the teacher has to know her position, his position. Adoshvada Sadhusanga has to be able to figure out the kids. Some kid maybe 6 years old, but he's Prahlad Maharaj or somebody else, yeah. And then the education means to adjust it. And acquiring this knowledge, reading, writing, arithmetic, grammar, whatever it is, abilities, okay, that comes naturally. It comes out of your ecstasy of love of God. You want to be able to express yourself the way you can do it. Okay, next. I think that's about it. Okay. I guess kind of after that I have more details like that. Okay, so you can end the PowerPoint show here. Go back to the Maha Mantra. Haribo, yeah. So that's kind of, is that okay? It's kind of a summary. It's actually a 45-minute presentation, but that's a little summary. Yeah? It's okay? Yeah, okay. So what we have is all these will be recorded on Start Meeting. So again, if you go to our webpage, jayarama.us/NAS, North American Symposium, you'll find a link there, to click to it. And then they should run pretty well. People have already been using them like that and so on. And they're good, actually they're interesting. I mean, I find a lot of lectures boring. But these were okay. At least they were interesting, and sometimes they were great. So I made this presentation, Philosophy of Education. Then after that, what came next was Shastric Education, which we discussed last night. And Radhakrishna went all over that. And there's certain, Bhakti Shastri centers established, Bhakti by Baba. And Prabhupada had a whole progressive study of based upon his books, like that. So it's going on, and I think here it's well developed, Then, after that came, I think, Mother Aruda. She and Radhika came from Boise. It was their first time in Texas there, and they saw the whole thing. It was like a, Disneyland weekend. The temple there is just incredible. The devotees, the big community. It's just everything. It's just like unbelievable. Like I said, there's 29 houses around the temple like that. And most of them are new, within the 4 years old like that, being built. Then across the street, there's 2.5-3 acre property across the big 4-lane road, which will be a 60-unit apartment complex. And so education, of course, is maybe the most important part, of your community like that. So then Mother Nirmala gave a very, very nice presentation about homeschooling. And of course, I think some people already know this and what's happening. I think even Radhika is even going to be coming here soon. And she's coming out with a new book, which is a teaching Bhagavatam first canto for kids, teenagers, like that. And it's very detailed study guide like that. I think it actually requires like a little online support and stuff. We can go in, because it has so many things for each, it has work projects and things and activities and questions and stuff. So it's a very complete thing. Otherwise you sit there, well, what are we going to do now? No, now we're going to do this and that. And so children become very, very stimulated and stuff, so on. Change the world. We have thousands of little Srila Prabhupads, little Bhakti Siddhantas like that, marching out. Turn loose the monsters. Okay, so after that, Radhika, I made a presentation called Navigating the Waters of Higher Education. Preschool, got that. Primary school, got that. Secondary, almost getting, high school. But after that, okay. And even now, so many of our kids are already going to the university. So what opportunities are good? What are good curriculum for different students? Different majors. For example, like if you want to stay a brahmachari, investigative journalism. Many universities teach that, investigative journalism. You can travel all over the world and risk your life, get the Pulitzer Prize and stuff like that, and do very wonderful things and influence people like that. Very good, use your abilities. Another one, very good diploma is history. History is a good diploma like that. From that you can go into so many things, so on. A few like that. Not a lot. Most of them are useless, like that. And so then we should have a resource base where people, devotees growing up, can look and see. And also there are quite a few universities where there are devotees who are on the faculty, like even very respected teachers like that, senior teachers. And once you have a devotee who's there, you can associate with him, and he can tell you what who's who and what's happening and what major to take and stuff like that. And you can have very, very good atmosphere like that and go in different universities. And then specifically, we need so many things to be written, so many topics, our perspective on homosexuality, our perspective on marriage and divorce, our perspective on science and nature. Oh, so many things we need like that. And so then you get to have a whole list of possible suggestions for master's theses. Here's a you can write your master's thesis on this, or a doctoral thesis. Okay, and if you want to go on and become a professor, okay. And that's what Radhika was saying. He sees that. He was thinking about it for this presentation. And of all the devotees who've gone ahead, usually what happens, they get their doctorate and stuff and leave and go back and become full-time ISKCON devotees somehow or other with the Bhaktivedanta Institute or something like that. But those who stay in the academic atmosphere, he said so many times they start to drift away. They start to drift away from the ISKCON community. The classes become too boring or something, this and that. They start associating more and more, with the other people, and they become very marginal devotees. Not chanting so many rounds and this and that. So this is very, very tempting, subtly, because you'll encounter so many subtle philosophies. You'll see people talking about our books, but they talk about them in a different way. Yes, the Vedas are good, but so is everything else. This is postmodernism. I'm okay, you're okay, we're all okay. Don't like that, And other than that, there's just unlimited numbers. He pointed out some of the major, philosophical ideas that exist in the academic world, like that, so on. So it's a very nice presentation of what you're going to be up against in terms of your own belief and your own development, like that. Okay. And so he was trying to analyze, well, how is it that some people, including myself, have been able to stay with this higher academic work? He started off. How'd he go? He went through homeschooling with his brother. He went right into the university, and that's his first public school. Pretty much was a university. And he graduated first place in mathematics and philosophy. And his brother graduated at first place in engineering. Their neighbor graduated. The whole community like that. And the mother said, when a big professor asked them, are they especially bright? No, they're intelligent, but they aren't like much more than a lot of kids. Well, what is it? What's the difference? Well, one thing is they follow these 4 principles. So as soon as you're following the 4 principles, immediately you have twice as much time as anybody else, or 3 times as much. There's no drinking, no association, opposite sex. And also you know why you're there, right? You haven't got to spend all this time trying to figure out in the university, who am I? What's going on? What is life? So right away, there's this different motivation, different time and stuff, Okay. So then he graduated from Boise State University, and he applied for Oxford, because in Oxford we have the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies. The Jews applied for the Jewish Center to be accepted as an Oxford partner, and they sent their letter in, and they got an answer back 15 years later, saying, "We received your letter and we're thinking about it." It's a monkey, one monkey. "We've received your letter and we're thinking about it." The devotees submitted, and back within 9 months they got an answer back, and now they are an official affiliate of Oxford University, like that, the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies. And so, through that and with that, he applied for theology studies in Oxford, and there was no response. And he was thinking, my gosh, I'm not going to make it. They don't want me to be there. So then they contacted Shaumaka Rishi, and he said, no, it's not that they don't want you. What's happening is they're fighting over who's going to get you. Because they see that you're such a great potential. Of course, everybody wants to have a student and stuff, So he graduated, one of the youngest students to graduate from Oxford, and very high class again. Several devotees have come out of there now, and now they're actually situated in university posts or working in ISKCON like that. So okay, then after that, he went ahead and he looked for a job, and he saw the same 50 people were applying for all the jobs. In theology, there's not a lot of positions in theology. But he got a 1-year teaching thing in the University of Florida with Vasudha Narayani, who's head of the department. He taught there for 1 year successfully. It was tough, okay. But then with that, he applied and he got a job at Center College, which is right in the middle of Kentucky. And it used to be religious, but it still kind of is, but it's kind of public. And they're very successful. They asked him to take a tour of India. So I guess he's teaching. He said, okay, I'll take some people. And so in the end, 50 people signed up. So he had to bring his father as the second person. They paid for everybody. And he said, it was such a thing, taking all those kids and stuff. But they all loved it. They came back. He made a very, very good tour for them. He showed everything like that. And it went on. And then he got an offer from William and Mary College. You know them? Have you heard about them? It's the oldest university in the United States, like that. Harvard's the oldest school, but William and Mary is the oldest university. So he got, which is very, at his age, everything else. So he taught there for about 4 or 5 years, but he had to keep going back home. It's on the East Coast, back and stuff, and everything else, And about this time, he's thinking, he wrote to me, he said, it was brahmachari, and he said, everybody thinks I'm the great Ravi Gupta. They invite me to go to Russia, everywhere else, I give all these classes and everything else. But he said, basically, I'm a fool. I still think that I can beat the system, that I can be happy in family life, I'm such a fool. I read again and again, you cannot be happy in a family life. How many people here are happy in family life? Okay. Shh. Prabhupada asked one girl, he said to her, who do you love more, your husband or Krishna? And so she was thinking, and she realized she didn't love either one. Like that. Yeah, fact is. But we get along okay, and we kind of like each other. We're used to each other, so on. So he was thinking, you read all these things, I'm still thinking I could be happy, I'll find the right girl, like that, and so on. And so he asked me my permission to go ahead and look for a wife. I said, well, think about it again. So he did. So this is Kardama and Devahuti, They knew it was stupid, So as far as I understand the process, Gopal Krishna Maharaj knew a very nice family in South Africa. They were jewelers and stuff. Very nice daughter. And she could have gone to the university, but she decided, forget it. What's this useless? I want to just be a brahmacharini. And they knew the temple president, so staying there. So she was there. But in the end, also they're coming to the same conclusion, got to get married, So we went there and visited. And usually, of course, many times the boy and girl don't even see each other before the marriage. That's kind of traditional. But there they didn't talk, but they were sitting together with the two families talking and this and that. I think they were kind of, the boy, Radhika and her were looking at each other kind of like that, And kind of like the communication is, this is stupid, right? Yeah, I know it's stupid. Okay. But we got to do it, right? Yeah, we got to do it. Okay. So that's basis of a good marriage. Yeah. And so then they, she's kind of Vaishya family. He's kind of an intellectual family. So it's very nice. She takes care of the practical stuff, and he takes care of the big intellectual stuff. And people said, oh, Radhika, you're such a big scholar, and your wife hasn't even got a bachelor's degree. And he said, yeah, I know. That's it. That's one of the essential things, is that when I go home, I have a normal human life, my kids, and my temple, and this kind of stuff. And that's what he was saying. He saw was essential in actually staying in the higher academic world, was to have a very extended life in the community and stuff like that, balanced spiritual life, and to keep this academic stuff as your job, and not make it your passion, your point of view. Otherwise, you get sucked into their lifestyle. So after that, he was at Center College, William and Mary. Then he got an offer to become an endowed professor at Utah State University, Logan. This one guy, lumber guy, Mormon guy, nice guy, he gave $5 million, $7 million to establish a permanent fund to pay for one professor. And usually you have to give a lecture or write a paper once a year or something on your choice, So you usually don't get these kind of positions at least until 50 years old. He got it at something like 27 years old. So there are stories in ISKCON of complete success in education, like that, all the way up to the bottom. I was noticing, it looks like puja, doesn't it? I don't know. Like that. She's all pervasive. Like that. Yeah. Okay, so you just came and you just missed it. We're talking about how to go through higher education. And Radhika gave a very, very nice presentation about the dangers and all this kind of stuff. And it's intellectual dangers. Because the kind of gross dangers you can figure out pretty much right away, and so on like that, Okay. So I did philosophy of education. Then we have Shastric education, which we covered last night. Mother Aruda talked about homeschooling, and her new book is coming out. And then Radhika did higher education like that. Then we had lunch break. Of course, the organizers have no break, so we're running around. Everything else. I knew it would almost kill me, but I've done this before. So we organized the whole thing, and devotees helped so much. I just point you pray, Krishna. That's it, Krishna. I can't handle any more. Then someone comes and said, Maharaj, I took care of that for you. Oh, thank you. That's what happens. You see people, people do things and stuff. Oh, otherwise you can't do it. Yeah. So then after lunch, then we had Mother Urmila, And she made a presentation on the necessity of a complete ISKCON school system. And I have her PowerPoint show here. And it's one of the few international ministries that Prabhupada established, was international. Because local funding, teachers, all this stuff, it's just a very rare community can do it. Very rare, like that, something. And even that won't be so effective, like that. So we have to have our own system, like the Montessori schools, the Waldorf schools. We have to have our own educational system, like that. And after this program, because this is all based upon, doing everything in Houston, starting a preschool, starting a primary school, everything there, right? But doing it right. After 40 years of experience here, 20 years of experience here, so you could actually see that in the end we're just about like this in our school system, like that. Yeah, we're just almost there, like that. Really, Okay, so she made a very nice presentation with all the details of what's required, and we were thinking of sponsoring this out of our organization, NEOS, North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies. But we're in Tennessee. The real place to do it is in Texas. It's located like that. So we presented it to them, and they said, yeah, we want to do it here. Our Yatra will support a educational corporation to help all North American temples and so on develop schools and do all that kind of stuff. So it actually is incorporated, and it is called Shastra. Shastra. Yeah. Okay. So after that, then we finished off, just remembering this is enough to kill me anyway, we finished off with all the existing primary schools in North America, logged in, personally or online. And it takes months of calling people, getting everybody involved. And I knew most of the people wouldn't be able to participate because it was too late. So we did it online. It's all recorded online. Vishwambar, okay, so finally, devotees drove down from Dallas. They heard it was going on like this. Okay, my goodness, it's just going on this well. Okay, we'll join. So they drove down from Dallas. Radha Gopinath, our little boy, and she's one of the teachers in Dallas. So we started with Dallas. It's the oldest one. They have kids now, alumni who are 35 years old, right, who graduated from this school. Big fear of the parents is my children will come out emotionally warped, weird, from homeschooling or this kind of stuff, like that, or else materially incompetent. They won't know an atom from a molecule. Do you know an atom from a molecule? Okay, there you go. Okay, yeah. You're ready to live life properly. Yes. Like that. Yes, okay. Yes. So anyway, that's what they're afraid of, Big fear of that. It's the main fear. If I put my kids in this system, they won't come out like emotionally mature and stuff. So they're showing all these kids, They, one of the kids, for example, that graduated from the Gurukula, now he's in charge of the Yellow River division of UPS or something. He has like 25,000 employees under his direction, right? And of course his consciousness is going down like that, yeah. The unit director for the Lion King was Parikshit Das. The unit director is the guy who is a super Upadrast, how you call it, super Übergruppenführer in German, super Übergruppenführer. Because you ever see after an animated film when they run the credits by? It's just to sit there like for 30 minutes. No, it's an entire army of people like that. So the supreme guy of the whole thing pretty much was Parikshit Das. So the Lion King, if you look at it, there's a lot of suspicious things sneaking in there. Samba, and philosophy and this and that. That's what's happening. There are devotees everywhere putting in good ideas about how to live together, how to be happy, what is the goal of life. So she was showing that many graduates from the Dallas school who've come out as one person took over a company making $10 million a year profit, and one year it's making $30 million a year profit. So almost always, universally, the Gurukula, even that it's not working so perfectly in the beginning, has been so useful, so successful. Okay, from there we went to Alachua, the Bhaktivedanta Academy, Vishwambar Das. And they've been existing for quite a few years. They're competing because right on the property is a public school. The U.S. government has a primary school on our property, like that. And as a bid, every year is a bid for the cafeteria. Got to show you if you can run it properly. Every year, of course, the devotees win. Right? So all the kids, ISKCON kids and outside kids who come in all get prasadam every time. And, teachers asking, write about some famous person. So how many of the kids write about Prabhupada? And teachers sitting there, public school teachers reading about Prabhupada over and over again. Yeah. Usually when you go to school, almost all the kids are demons, or karmis or something like that. Okay. When you go to this school, it's the exact opposite. 90% of the kids are all Hare Krishnas. So if you go to lunch with a hamburger or something, they'll be looking at you. You eat meat. It's the exact opposite. Whereas school, you don't eat meat. Weird. So it's this. But so why pay the money to put your kids into a private school then? But even still. Because the basic philosophy in education is karmavad. If you do well, we'll put a star by your name or something. So basically we do things for a reward. Yeah? But no, our school, we don't teach you that, something else. So you're doing quite well, even just like that. And he's accredited all the way up to the first year of college. I think his students are only in the sophomore year of high school. But they can go right through and stay there all the way and then go directly from there, transfer into any university and stuff like that. So an example. Anything else? He's very happy anybody wants to visit, see the school, see how it's running. And he joined the Montessori system. As Mother Irmala is saying, because you have to belong to a system. You need associates, you need funding. And she said, once people join, it's very hard to get out. You see that, because you're accustomed to that thing. Okay, Dallas. I'm behind the map here. Dallas, Alachua. Here we got Alachua, we got bears. No, we got mosquitoes and crocodiles. Mosquitoes and crocodiles. The other side, we got mosquitoes and bears. This is up in Sharanagati with Kartama Shah. He grew up in ISKCON, his mother was a teacher. And now they have the Govardhan Academy there. And that's completely ISKCON property. They didn't know what to do. The Canadians did not know what to do with the Hare Krishnas, Canadians like independent people, they're pioneers. But at the same time, too, these Hare Krishnas are getting out of the system. So what do we do with their children and force them to go to school? So finally, some genius in the Canadian educational system figured out that the Hare Krishnas are tribals. Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, no, because there's so many tribal groups in Canada. Yeah, no? ISKCON and Samamish, and they have a whole system of dealing with them and so on. Okay, Hare Krishna is your tribals. Okay, we're tribals. What do we get? You give us 1 acre of land forever. Goodbye, our land. We supply the materials and a contractor to build 2 schoolrooms. You supply the labor and the land. So they have pictures when the devotees are all there, building their school, and it's nice. And some contractor telling them, do this, do that. Then after that, we supply a teacher, and you supply 2 teaching assistants. And we'll pay them, but it's not like a lot of money. But yeah, it's okay, We'll teach your holidays. We won't teach Christmas. We'll teach, Gorpanima and this kind of stuff like that. So it's a very, very nice system in many ways. But also they can see it also seduces you to get involved in the mainline system. Before they had no telephones, right? But now with the school there's a satellite link, and everybody in the village, in the tribal village, they get like a phone connection. So now they're starting to have telephones, they can make plans and everything else. And they can see how it's like, designed subtly to get everybody to civilize the tribals, Yeah. So simultaneously, what they're trying to do is like, decivilize, the school teachers, and it's working, So that's why every place is different. That's why it's nice seeing what everybody's doing. They have this problem of they have to teach a lot of stuff from the public curriculum. So Kartama is saying we have to get our own accreditation agency. Okay, come on down. That'll come up next. Next one is. Over down, Seattle. Seattle is a synergy school. It's 2 years old. And they're also struggling to develop it like that and so on. It's right in the temple in cooperation like that. And they're confronted with the best educational district in all of Washington they're competing with. So they have to really struggle with the finances and stuff. But still, they're getting people who are putting their kids there. And then finally we come down to the one we're just starting now, which is the Goswami Academy in Texas. Okay, so Goloka Education, it's a private business with Ram Giridhari Das, who also happens to be the executive secretary of the Ministry of Education. So we're trying to make sure that, no preference. And Pranadas, who was was headmaster of the Gurukula in Australia for many years. He increased it by 10 times. They decided to start Goloka education in Bombay, and Advanti schools in England, the Gurukula in Bombay, and now in Australia are using their curriculum or system like that. And so they're setting up a very systematic thing as a business. So for Gokul Kids, preschool, okay, this is a franchise. Anybody wants to get a franchise, you can do it, just like McDonald's or Target or whatever, Target, Yeah, and then you're a part of the whole system, You do this, you do this, you do this. Here's your signs, here's your stickers. How many teachers you got? Okay, we'll train them on this date. We're going to come and review you. Okay, it's just a nice, cozy home. We pay you. Okay. So two groups registered in Houston. One right at the temple, and one in Sugar Land, which is about, with no traffic, about 25 minutes south, where most of the devotees live. And one lady, she was working for one preschool there, owned by some Patel brothers. They have 5 of them in the area. So we went over and saw it. She's managing it, and she also became the manager of this one. She left that. So many ladies are ready to leave these and become work for ISKCON. So Ram Giridhari went there, Pranadas, Hari Lila, myself, and we saw the whole thing, and about 150 kids in the daycare center. And it's okay. It's a little bit miserable, kind of like the walls and the building and stuff, but it's okay, and they take care of the kids. And it's lower income area, so only charging $400 a month. Around here, daycare is probably 800, huh? 1,200. Huh? Okay. In Seattle, it's 700, 800. Yeah, depends on the quality. But you can see this is like the really low income area, so it's 400. In Texas, it's about 700. But Ram Giridhari came out, fuming, about to explode. He's a businessman. He said, just figure it out. 150 kids, $400 a month each one. How much a month? $60,000 a month. And he said, unless these guys are complete, utter, absolute morons, they're making 15% profit a month. And probably they're making 30%. Patel, brother. Yeah. So why are devotees working for all these stupid businesses, How to put stripes in toothpaste, whatever. New kinds of lipstick, On and on. And it's just unbelievable. Why are they working for these stupid businesses when they can be doing something which is useful for society, And again, it's designed, pretty much the theory is, don't go beyond Paramatma, right? There is a controller. He's everywhere. He has his hand in things. You can pray to him. He'll make special things like that. That's acceptable to Christians, Muslims, Hare Krishnas, everybody, pretty much, except even scientists and materialists accept intuition, insight, Okay. Then people have some special interest. Okay, then we arrange things for the students who want to do something more. Okay, maybe a lot of Mexican kids. Okay, then we have somebody come and have a nice program about Jesus Christ. And the kids get to see each other, learn from each other. And before you come to school, okay, we encourage everybody to have a nice program at their house, according to their particular Bhagavan appreciation. So it's kind of the model we're using. It's not for just Prahlad Maharaj. It's not just for... We want our children to learn our mythology and go to Harvard and make a lot of money, and get people in that in too. They're coming to the temple because it's just their religion. Yes, Krishna's a myth, but he's our Hindu myth. Okay, so you get people on both ends. Other people just only for Prahlad Maharaj, exact stuff. So yeah. So we get people. So the kind of solution is Paramatma. Before school, Bhagavan. And we encourage that, we allow it to slop over into the school. But basically, God is a person, Bhagavad Gita level. And we're Hare Krishnas. You want to talk to us about our religious perspective, okay. But we also encourage people, to talk about Jesus Christ and Islam and stuff like that. And what is it really, Okay. So preschool. Then primary school is a consultancy. So in Texas, it's set up as Goswami Academy, a non-profit, a 501c3 non-profit religious corporation. Yeah, we went through the whole thing. We had a $400 an hour lawyer, coming in there. Everybody else like that, yeah. And a lot of work to go through and decide what's the best thing to do and so on. multi-age classrooms. Oh, you have first, second, and third graders in the same classroom because you can't afford it. No, it's better. Everybody's realizing it's when kids of different ages are in the same classroom, everybody learns better. So many things we did right there. If you're a nonprofit educational corporation and somebody is a lesbian, you cannot refuse to hire her because she's a lesbian. And also you cannot prevent her from communicating her values to the girls. Yeah, that's it. That's America. That's the law. You talk to a lawyer. If you're a religious corporation, yeah, you can do it. Okay. Does it matter in terms of the accreditation? No. Accreditation for religious corporation and a public corporation is no different. But you won't have access to the same funding that you do as a church. So this is the kind of thing, it's all these considerations. So the Shastra Foundation has to have a legal resource per division, right? People who can give advice, you call them up, whatever. And then Goloka Education then is a consultancy. You want to start a school here, primary school? Okay, here's a form. Here's a survey, run it around, get it back to us. Don't even try. Or it's good, you've got so many people who are retired or who can act as teachers, you got this and that. You got your students are spaced here, you're gonna need 2 school buses, like that, yeah, like this and that, you know. So this is how it works, you know, what Goloka Education is working with. Preschool is a franchise, the primary school is a consultancy. And consultancy means we can train your teachers, we can supply you curriculum, it's developing. For example, right now we already have, right here, the curriculum fully available for Sanskrit, for 1st through 3rd grade, like that, developed. And the 4th through 6th grade will be available probably within a few months. An adult can go through it in about nine months, quickly. And so we're going to get online support. You can register, you can test, you can find other people who are interested like that. You know, card games, what do you call it? This call here. This is the dictionary, student's book, teacher's book, like that. So it's a very tangible fact. And they're developing in Bombay, they're developing, and they need people, clients, you know, simultaneously like that. So that's just about it. You know, so all these schools, we got 5 functioning primary schools in North America. ISKCON has like that and so on. And the preschool thing, of course, it's very natural. It's just, you got 2 registered preschools in Houston. We'll probably pick up a few more very quickly, like that. And if kids go to an ISKCON preschool, what's the thing? They're going to go, you know, right, ready to go to the primary school like that. You got enough of them and so on. So it's that's the whole thing then. So we did, you know, there in Texas. Higher education. This is Tamal Krishnamara's book, one example of, you know, the university teaching. His thesis is that Prabhupada is a theologian, and therefore all of his works with a proper perspective can be cited by anybody who's a theologian, as well as from any other professor like that. So extremely important book in terms of establishing Prabhupada like that. And then we're doing different things. We have a Light of the Bhagavat program we do, and Nectar Instruction, the basis. Then finally we have the little japa things here. There we go. The little mantra meditation kit. It has this little flyer here, explains all about japa from different traditions, and it's a nice thing for promoting this, because it's a very, very nice way to attract people. You want to learn how to meditate? Okay, you know, people come and sit down like that. You know, there he is. Look, it's an urban monk. Just now coming. Yeah. So we have these available. It includes one mini mala, 18 beads. 6 times 18 is 108. And if you chant 3-second mantras, you can finish off in 1 minute. Yeah. Western person can keep the whole mantra in his mind as an icon if it takes less than 3 seconds. Yeah. Bhaktisiddhanta probably could keep like 4 or 5 seconds or 6 seconds. But Western person, the maximum amount they can keep in their mind at one time is 3 seconds. Otherwise the mind starts putting it into linear events like that. It's interesting. That's meditation. It's okay. So you got to get into it. But when you do it, you see it's a fact. You can get the whole mantra there at one time, and you kind of slides off that in, slides off this in, and you're meditating. Yeah, samadhi. So we have those. We have a CD in there, which also includes all kinds of a movie, a PowerPoint show about japa, and it includes the entire print thing to print out the little brochure and stuff. So it's a complete thing. They did this mantra meditation thing in Chicago, some devotees, And they got like, I think, 1,000 people to chant one round. You want to learn how to meditate? Well, okay, say, come here. Maybe 5, 6 devotees sitting with persons chanting one round, explaining a little bit. But the big beads are a little bit intimidating like that and so on. So we get the smaller ones. We get a jar of smaller beads there too, like that. So on. So, koi prashna hai? Yes, Hanji. Angrez Basya. Spanish. Back. Aquí hablamos español.
Dandavad Pranam Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, in these schools which you mentioned, how are these topics like evolution and Big Bang
Yeah.
dealt?
This is what, because the Avanti schools, Avanti schools are in England, and because the British government sponsors different religious activities. It's very interesting, the educational culture there. So when they were in Mayapur, we were there for the ILS meeting, and I went to their presentation. I asked him, what about science education? And he goes, he said, the second we teach anything other than evolution, all government support evaporates. So they have to teach evolution and a few things like that. And that's where they are, because they get government support, everything else, but along with that, they're very much tied into certain things. But the whole ambience is behind that, is that encouraging people at home and everything else. And so the kids know pretty much that this is the karmi theory, and we got to learn it and stuff like that and so on. But they're still learning and everything else. So along with devotees, this what Goloka Education, they're working on a science curriculum for kids, starting in preschool. In preschool, you can plant an oak tree, right? Little kid can learn what a seed is and this kind of stuff, and they can plant it, And they can go on then first grade, second grade, and then, by the time they graduate from college, their oak seed will be a big tree, and they'll, make their house under the tree and stuff. This is a synthetic view of nature. This was St. Bonaventura's idea. A synthetic idea of nature. We learn to synthesize ourselves with nature, and that's how to understand it. Thomas Aquinas' idea was analytical. We cut it in pieces, and then we understand it. We chop off the rabbit's ears, pop out his eyeballs, take out his teeth, take out his kidneys. Now we understand the rabbit. But they were both candidates for philosophy of nature at the same time. But the Pope decided to go St. Thomas's side. So we developed in our science this fundamental philosophy of analysis like that. Yeah. So anyway, we're developing the curriculum, and now there are some, we're using Montessori curriculum or different Christian, curriculi, like that. But that's the whole, and it can go very quickly. They hired a Sanskritist. They have 5 people on the team now in Mumbai. Yeah.
Maharaj, one more if I may.
Yeah,
It's on the Varnashrama that you mentioned. Is it possible to practice? There is, when we talk of Varnashrama in our society, we invariably think that farm communities is a part of Varnashrama.
It's a part.
So, is it possible? How actually it is just one of the things, right? For a Vaishya, one of his things is Krishi, and that's so. Why is there so much importance on farm community? Or the other way of asking the question is it possible to execute Varnashrama Dharma if you are not in a farm community? And
because the fundamental misconception is farm community. We're not trying to develop farm communities. We're trying to develop rural communities, right? Yeah, you see? Yeah. We organized, NEOS, our next book is coming out. With the Indian Museum, we co-sponsored a symposium on the contribution of ancient India towards making a better world. And big people, big vice chancellors and everything else participated, so we're going to publish this. But again and again, it was coming out. It's the Ayurveda, everything in the system is dependent upon living in the village, right? Now, within 6 minutes, we're going to have a presentation on being an urban monk, like that. Yeah. But how to do that? It's unnatural. Vibhishan said living in Lanka was like being a tongue surrounded by sharp teeth. And We got to be able to move and stuff like that, so on. You're here for preaching, natural life, and what it means. So you're an Ayurvedic doctor. That's not a farm community. That's Brahmin. You're teaching philosophy, culture, art, music. That's a Brahmin. The real culture is not the Vaishya culture or the Shudra culture. It has to be Brahminical culture. Prabhupada says you have to live in the country and show people how you can be an extremely cultured person, right? In the city, it's, oh my God, I have to go serve the deities. In the country, is wow, you have plenty of time. No pressure. It's the center of the community, making special things for the deities and festivals and stuff. So really what we're trying to develop is rural development. And in that, of course, can be fantastic education development. Profound Brahminical communities. And certain villages are kind of focused in this, and certain villages are focused in that and stuff, So some become educational places and stuff, So yeah, but without rural life, it's very difficult. The only way to do it is by Sankirtan. And by Sankirtan, we can live in the city and make adjustments like that and so on. Yeah. But it's not natural. You see all over the world, there's economic poverty. Homosexuality is probably a result of overpopulation. The nature naturally has, human beings, some have a natural response of overpopulation, that's homosexuality, because that reduces the population. Yeah. This is just so simple, yeah. So, maybe one more question here. Yes. Okay, so thank you very much. And then tomorrow night we have a program at Bali Murdan's house, right? Yeah? Friday night, yeah, tomorrow I get a little break. And then we'll have the contracts right there. So if anybody wants to sign up for the Goloka education and everything else, and we can discuss it. It's like that. I asked Vaisheshika about this. He said, yeah, we want it. Sign us up. Yeah, like that. Yeah, but it requires some work. Yeah, like that. And again, the focus is Sankirtan. The kids from the very beginning are just feeling the happiness of giving what they're learning. Why am I learning? To teach. Little kids learning magic shows to spread Krishna consciousness. No, everybody has their nature from a very young age, from previous lifetimes. One thing, we know our kids have abilities from previous lifetimes. And so right from the very beginning, we can start seeing, their musical talents, other things like that. Yeah. Okay, so now actually we have more discussion here. The devotees going to present, I think, a nice discussion on, you have a book here presenting, Prabhu? Okay, very nice. So thank you very much, and we'll be here for individual questions. Shri Prabhupada ki.